if you don't get a good good service or a good meal, you're now getting forced to pretty much pay them for doing a service that they
That shit.
Yeah.
Flipping the script on this, I totally disagree. So today we're talking about tips.
Yeah.
And not the sexual ones, but
Not just the tips. Tips. Yeah, because apparently Earl's has decided to introduce a mandatory 16% tip.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what we're going to be discussing today.
and for you that aren't Canadian, is Earl's even a Canadian chain? It is, right? Yeah.
I think they have Earls, but if
Either
you
way.
are American and don't have Earls, comment down below.
If you're in Spain and you don't have Earl's,
Well, anyways, any opinions that you guys have on tips, please share with us because we think this is fucking retarded. So,
Do we?
well, at least I do. So,
let's not make assumptions here.
oh man. Okay, let's get straight into it. Anyways, yeah, Earl's wants to implement 16% mandatory tip. So
Yeah.
basically, you walk into the restaurant, you pay for food, the tip's already included. That's it.
Okay, let's start with Sam's opinion. Really rare to go with Sam's opinion.
So based on what we understand, you can't add more tip from what I get from it. I could be totally wrong, but
I believe you can't. Yeah, I think it's just.
yeah, it's just mandatory already there. It's pretty much like that one thing called, I always screw it up, Gratuity or whatever.
Gratuity.
Gratuity. Anyways.
We're professional talkers here on Hammer On.
Exactly.
Oh man.
But gratuity is pretty much a mandatory 15% at some chains for a certain amount of people past like 10 or whatever, like 10 or up.
Or like the party room or whatever.
Yeah. On some restaurants do that. So it's like a forced 15% like that on everything. So why I think it's a little ridiculous is because now it pretty much makes it so even though you should always be doing your best, it makes it so the waitresses and stuff don't have to be always on top of things, even though sometimes they can't because it's understaffed or whatever. But
Yeah, exactly.
it's kind of like, what if I didn't get the premium service that I expected to give that extra 10% or 15% or whatever?
Yeah.
So-
And I think really quickly we should maybe have Alex explain just for the masses that probably don't know how tips actually work and how they're distributed. So if
Okay.
we really quickly want to
Yeah.
sum that up.
So essentially, when you go to a restaurant, like a chain restaurant, I'm assuming like little businesses don't do this, but chain restaurants, they have this thing where the server immediately has to pay 4% or 5%, it usually ranges around there, of whatever the bill came out to be. So if you paid $20, and that out of that $20, the server has to pay 4% no matter what. So if you tip them, it typically comes out of the tips, right? And then anything past 4 they keep. But if you don't tip, that waitress literally just paid for you to eat, which is why we think it's a little unfair.
Both systems are
Yeah.
unfair to a certain degree because
Yeah.
the way it is pretty much now, the way it is now is that if you don't tip, the waitress gets screwed because the chefs and the host, from what Alex is explaining, because he used to work at Chili's, is that they always have to give money up. Ansgar's said screw
Sorry,
this.
I'm just yeah, fuck you guys. No, I'm just checking the time.
Hammer on, hammer off.
But anyway, so 4% always goes to the chefs and the hosts and stuff because you actually know that when you first get hired. Like, that's what
Yeah.
you're told. Like,
Yeah.
you get 4% regardless of all the tabs that get paid on your shift, from what I understand. Or it could be like over the 2 weeks. But so some societies, like most places in Europe or even in Japan, people don't even tip. I'm not saying that when they come over, it's like, oh my God, there's so many Japanese people and European people coming over and not tipping, but it still kind of sucks for the waitress when that doesn't happen, and then vice versa
Yeah.
with the new system, the customer's getting screwed over because if you don't get a good good service or a good meal, you're now getting forced to pretty much pay them for doing a service that
That's shit.
Yeah.
Flipping the script on this, I totally disagree. No.
Now.
Yeah, I know. So why I disagree is because, first of all, the gratuity you guys are completely okay with, right?
Yes.
Okay, so all that Earls is going to be doing is it's just going to be taking the same sort of concept and just making it smaller, obviously. So now the waitress is going to be getting paid with tips into like kind of how hard she's working or how much work she's doing. So if you got someone who's working 10 tables, they're going to get paid more. And if you're working like 2 tables, then obviously you're not getting paid as much because it's going to be working off percentages. And I think that if we're okay with it, like, oh, well, there's 20 of us, so it's fair for the waitress to get paid. Like, it should probably be the same thing with everything. Like, I don't see why it's a big deal if we're just making it a smaller bill.
Well, the thing is with the gratuity bills now, they're for just big tables.
Well,
so
I
let's
know.
say most people that come in are families of probably 3 or 4 or something
Yeah.
like that, right? So a normal table. And now everyone gets a mandatory 16% tip. So that means you're not tipping anyone anymore for their effort. You're just literally giving a standard amount of money, which kind of like we talked about before is just like a GS or a tax on food.
Yeah, but if you look at it from the restaurant's point, like from the consumer's point of view, I can see how it kind of demeans the purpose of a tip because like, oh, well, like you said, like, oh, this server did a crap job. I don't think they should get tipped. Like, I totally get that. Like, you don't want to give them more of your money because they did a crap job. I totally get that. But from the restaurant's point of view, if you have Stacy, who's busting her ass off, accepting more and more tables, and she's doing a great job, she's gonna be getting paid more regardless now instead of before where she could be doing the most amazing job, but you'd still get families who'd be like, well, I don't give a shit. Like, here's $2 because that's what I have in my pocket. I'm off. So now, regardless, if they're working harder, they're going to be getting paid more, which is going to give them more, like, they're going to want to work harder now because now they're going to be guaranteed more money if they work harder.
Well, no, I don't agree with that. I think if they're guaranteed more money, they're not incentivized to work harder.
But now they have to do more tables to get, if they're doing more tables, they're automatically getting more money, right?
Yeah, because it's a standardized 16% on their end. Like for them, it's good.
It makes sense for like.
But think of it from the restaurant's point of view. Now they're gonna be like making their waitresses want to do more, right?
Are they?
Well, it makes a waitress want to take more tables.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean her attitude's gonna necessarily be good or that she's gonna be a good
Yeah, but
waitress.
like I said before, it doesn't necessarily mean not everyone wants somebody who's gonna be sitting there for 5 minutes talking up. Some people do. Like my family, whenever I go out, I love a waitress who sits there and talks to me and makes it all personal and like gets to know me or whatever. I love that. But not everyone likes that. Like I said, there's people I know who wants a waitress who's just there, give me my food. I'm here with my family. I just want to have a conversation with my family with good food. And that's it. They don't want to have some stranger talking to them, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be getting better service because everybody's opinion of better service is different, right?
But
Yeah.
it's their money that they're spending, so their opinion matters on that point.
I guess. But if you do have like a family who wants to sit and chat, like you said, they're servers, like they're literally there like to give you good service. So if your opinion of good service is, you know, like I want someone who's going to sit there and chat, they should probably read that before they're telling the host, like, oh yeah, I can take more tables. They should probably know, like, oh, this family's going to want to talk to me.
I think on the other side, though, when you think about it, tipping is kind of generalized. Like if a server's constantly up on the table, like making sure like they come maybe once after they get their food, like maybe after 5 minutes, so they've had a chance to try everything, and they're like, so how is it? And if they say yeah or no, this isn't what I expected, like this steak is like undercooked or overcooked or whatever, and then making sure their drinks are up. I think that's like the general idea of like what a good server is. It's just making sure their customers are happy that way.
Yeah.
Where I understand the whole, this is my experience, I'm here to sit and eat and stuff, but a server for the most part is just there to make sure you have your food and everything's good. If they talk to you, make you happy, or if they leave you alone, that should only affect like for the people that want to talk, and it's just like, oh yeah, you know, Ashley made my experience so much better. And then Matt, when he came over and helped Ashley when, you know, she was having a hard time, he like the teamwork and they were really friendly people and stuff. I'll give them a bigger tip.
Yeah.
That's where I think the system right now, obviously if you have cash, it's totally different. I think you could just be like, whatever, here's more money. But if it is a mandatory 16 on like the debit machine, which I can't see, that'd be a little weird because everything has like the percentages and stuff now, but that way I think would kind of suck, because now it's like I only have to do the bare minimum. Not like they won't go farther, but
well, yeah, that's the other thing. Like I feel like the waitresses already kind of do that, right? Like they're not guaranteed a tip, but they're still gonna bust their ass to get it.
Yeah.
But on, you know, like if you look at like Europe, apparently they have tipping, like you said earlier. And from what I've heard, the service is just as good in Europe. So it's not like they're working harder to get a good tip or whatever. Like they're not upping their service. It's just their job. That's what they get paid to do. So they're already striving to just do a good job.
Now, this is just a quick like disclaimer. Me and Alex have never gone to Europe. The only person that have actually lived in Europe is Ansgar. So he would
I
have
heard that
better
on the internet too, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Lots of info in there.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's what we've heard, and I also believe probably Europe servers probably get paid more or better.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have that.
It's actually not a huge, and they're actually paid pretty minimally over there for waitress, and it depends on the restaurant.
Do they go with the general like minimum wage?
Yeah, because
like for obviously if it's a smaller restaurant, like just your normal old chain, then they're not getting paid a lot. They're getting paid basically minimum wage. If it's a fancy restaurant, obviously they're going to get paid more there.
But it's not like here where they're getting paid like less than minimum.
They're not getting paid less than minimum wage there. Yeah. So
because Canada and I think maybe probably the States too have like everyone has minimum wage, and then waitresses and waiters have a lower wage because they have the tip system. Yeah. So that's just a little disclaimer on that too. Yeah. But anyways.
So it is a little bit different in the market that you're from. Yeah. So that's the only thing there. Mm-hmm. But I get what you guys mean with that. Now, just if a waitress does a good job, then she's guaranteed the 16%, so that's good for her. I still think the system is flawed and broken, similar to how the tipping system right now isn't the best. And I don't think this is the best solution for that, because again, if I come into the restaurant and it's shit food, or the server isn't good or isn't friendly or whatever, then my 16% should not go to that person, right? Mm-hmm. The shitty thing about that, and this is kind of what we kind of talked about before, is if you don't tip at all, no one in the restaurant gets any extra money, right? Like the cooks don't get anything, etc. So
the cooks get money from the waitress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but he's saying like what you're saying.
Oh yeah. We when Ansgar first brought this up, we kind of like gradually talked about it. At first, I thought it'd be just good to just totally get rid of the whole 4% thing getting taken from the waiter or waitress to go to the cooks, but at the same time, it kind of sucks because the cook's always going to try to make the best meal because the cook wants you to come back.
Yeah.
You're always going to want to come back if he makes really good food, and maybe the service isn't totally up to snuff like what you were expecting.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it is pretty damn good. But for the odd time, it's like, oh my God, what's going on? But the cooks always want you to come back because you will always give them money out of your tab. Regardless, they'll always get a small chunk of it. Where I was saying that, it kind of makes everyone else kind of like, oh my God, I'm not getting paid as much if the store is or restaurant's super busy.
Yeah.
So what we thought actually would be kind of a good system is not go full 16%, just do a little like a forced mandatory 4 to 5.
Whatever it is that the kitchen,
Yeah.
the rest of the house gets paid.
We just said 5 because it's a nice easy number, but
Yeah.
5% goes to the kitchen and the host or whoever else gets like the house cut, we'll say. And then you can tip just based on the
Service.
Yeah,
And
the
it just
savings
goes
service.
to the server. Yeah.
In my personal opinion, I think that's a
Better.
slightly better system than we have
Yeah,
right
either
now.
way, it's going to be broken.
Yeah.
I think Europe probably has it the best, even though it kind of screws the servers over because you can't like tip them. So they're not going to have those like nights where they come back from the bar and they're like, so I made like $400. Holy crap! Because people were tipping well.
Yeah.
Like it kind of takes that away, but it also gets rid of all of this controversy and bull crap.
That being said, like in Europe, like if a waiter is really good or waitress or whatever, even though they don't really have like a tipping mentality, if they do like a really exquisite job and like kind of either get to know the person or know that they don't want to
Yeah.
be contacted or whatever, then there will be times where someone's just like here's 20
Yeah.
euros, like
Yeah.
whatever, right? But it's more of like, it's not every restaurant, every waiter. It's like if you really nail.
It's
your
not like a
service,
stigma
right?
that you have to do it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to tip this person.
Yeah.
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 So, but yeah, I kind of agree. Well, so I still think 16% is a little bit ridiculous. I go out to eat a lot with my friends after work and stuff like that, and it's already pretty expensive, and then 16% mandatory on top of that. So like,
Yeah, but I think the idea is that you're already supposed to do pretty much 16. Like all the waitresses expect to get 15 on every table. Like that's what their goal is already. So
that's
like,
what they expect. But most people,
I know
like,
that if it's
10.
like crappy service and whatnot, but like
The reason why we think the 5% is a good way is because the cooks still get their 4 or 5% like they were before, but now it is totally up to
the waitress,
the
or waiter.
waitress to get her tips.
yeah.
Because before, now she's worrying about the cook's tips, the host tip, and her own tip to like make sure everyone gets their fair share, where now it's just based on her. So if she wants to get a good tip, she still has to bust her ass. She still has to make sure you're happy, or he has to make sure you're happy.
And she has to have people skills in order to
Yeah.
know whether they want to talk a lot or whether they're the family that isn't very talkative and they just want the
Yeah.
service. And that's what the waitress's job. You're
Yeah.
fucking customer service, and you have to know your customers. So if you don't, you shouldn't get automatic tip that big. So that's my thing. But
I just realized we've probably only been referring to him as she's until Sam caught it right there. There are waiters.
So try not to be sexist.
we are running out of time, but anyways, what do you guys think? Even if you're not from Canada, you don't know about this Earl situation, if there was a mandatory 16% tip in your country, what would you have to think about that? Do you agree with us or Alex or myself? And leave a comment down below. But,
Like and subscribe.
thank you very much.
If our limited information on restaurants were completely wrong, let us know.
That could be a possibility. So.
Anyways,
All right, guys, have a good one.
see ya.
Bye.